Heavy rain overnight and into this afternoon is causing a lot of issues in our area, from standing water on the roads to flooded yards and basements.
Our WTOL 11 weather team says 8 to 15 inches of rain fell in some areas in only a matter of hours. We're seeing significant flooding on Kelleys Island and out in Oregon and Jerusalem Township. Yards looking more like ponds and roadways completely covered.
So we do have team coverage for you this afternoon. Jack Crum is live tonight out on Kelleys Island, getting a look at the situation there. And Steve Iwanek is checking things out a bit closer to home in Oregon. But
first, we want to start with your WTOL 11 forecast. Kaylee, are we in for the clear for the rain the rest of the day?
Dan, as far as the forecast goes, most of that rain has now moved off to our east. However, still dealing with the impacts, and these red polygons you see, those hour flash flood warnings still in effect for this afternoon and for this evening. But as far as those rainfall totals go, yes, we saw a lot of rain. In fact, up to about almost 200 days worth of rainfall, and just in the past 24 hours for those of you in the Kelleys Island area. I mean, look at this, around 15 to 16 inches of rain. We'll have more coming up with Jack and Steve's stories, but look at this. It's not just Kelleys Island, all across the lakeshore, from 3 inches to 6 inches to 4 inches to 8 inches of rain. We always say this: turn around, don't drown when you approach a flooded area. So we have a bunch of different flood alerts. We have a flash flood warning, in fact, multiple flash flood warnings, a flood warning, a flood advisory, those flood watches. So if you're anywhere from Toledo to the islands, down towards Norwalk, traveling over towards Cleveland, under some kind of flood alert for this afternoon and this evening. So luckily we're done with the rain, still dealing with the impacts, and temperatures are a little bit cooler. We're seeing temperatures right now in the upper 70s and the low 80s. Today is the coolest day for the next 10 days, and temperatures will slowly drop back down the 60s overnight with those mostly clear skies, and we're staying dry going on into Tuesday and Wednesday. However, more rain is in the forecast, so those that are cleaning up from all this major flooding, more rain expected for the end of the week. We'll talk more about that, plus the summertime heat that's back coming up in just a little bit. Dan.
Kaylee, thanks. One of the hardest hit spots is Kelleys Island, getting upwards of 15 inches of rain today alone. That's where we find at WTOL 11's Jack Crum. And Jack, you've been there all day. What have you seen?
Yeah, Dan, so we spent most of the afternoon kind of driving around the island, getting a look at a lot of the backyards, or I guess you could say ponds, throughout the area. And even though the rain has stopped now, the impact still being felt island-wide. So some spots I went to this afternoon recorded 16 inches of total rainfall. Now, to put this in perspective for you, the island averages about 35 inches throughout an entire year. So we're talking about more than a half year's worth of rain falling in just a single day. The Island Water Department put out a notice for residents to conserve water earlier today after the pump room flooded with close to 10 feet of water. Now, officials say that the pumps are working again and the pump room has since been drained. However, they still sent emergency samples to the EPA just to be safe. Now, it's the department's expectation that those samples are going to come back safe and okay. Now, we're going to continue to explore. We're going to talk to the mayor here shortly, and we'll kind of see where it goes from there. But for now, reporting Island Side, I'm Jack Crum, WTOL 11.
Jack, thank you. Now out in Jerusalem Township, getting around this afternoon can be tricky due to the flooding blocking several roads. Steve Iwanek went out to that area to see what people are dealing with there. Steve, what are you seeing?
Amanda, hello. Well, we just saw Jack out in Kelleys Island, and I'm actually here on Corduroy Road here in Oregon, just east of the Norden intersection with Corduroy. And I talked to a homeowner named Deb who told me that her son was on his way back this morning from Put-in-Bay, but got stuck in Port Clinton once he got back onto the mainland because of the flooding out in Ottawa County. But here in eastern Lucas County, as we're going to take a look here, this is not Lake Erie that I'm standing by. This is the front side backyard of this particular property that we're seeing. Look at the mass amount of water here, easily ankle deep, potentially even deeper in certain spots of this road. I'm standing just to my left of me is a storm sewer as well that is just spinning. It's not doing any sort of pumping of water out. It is an absolute mess, to describe it simply, here in the Oregon Jerusalem Township area. But this is not the only area in where I'm standing at that's a mess. We also have road closures all along State Route 2. too. If you are heading out towards 579, Yondota, North Curtis, Norden, and Brown and Nissen, you are going to see road closure signs because there is a mess all along the roadways. And as we've driven along the Corduroy, Seaman, Wynn Road areas for the past hour or so, we have seen front yards, backyards, properties, just a mess. So this is going to take a while to dry out, but homeowners are hoping that the rain will hold off that way in the coming days. Their properties can start to dry out. But for now, here in Oregon, Steve Iwanek, WTOL 11, back to you.